That is absolutely impossible what he just did. That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Good morning. Welcome. This is the Destination Fantasy Podcast. We are actually in the middle of Super Wildcard Weekend here. 3 games yesterday, 3 more today. But before we get into anything, I'd like to introduce my brother, Deshaun. How you doing today?
Man, I feel great. Today is Judgment Day for you and I, for my Steelers, your Bears, man, and it's nervous and anxious at the same time, bro. So,
man, you not lying there, man. My Bears played the second game today. Also going to be on Nickelodeon. That's going to be an interesting thing.
Really did not know that.
Yeah, so Nickelodeon got this. I guess they wanted to highlight one game, I guess, to get the younger crowd into it. So I'm gonna see what they're talking about here on Nickelodeon for a few minutes.
Okay.
So yeah, that should be interesting. And of course, you got the primetime game of the day, Browns and Steelers. We'll get into that more in a bit. So you know what? There was 3 games yesterday. Let's get into it really swift. So first game of the day was the Bills and Colts. Bills won 27-24. This game was as close as this score indicates. It seemed like every time the Bills was, get ready to do something, the Colts would fire right back. Colts defense really put them in position to win this game and keep them in this game. But I guess the offensive firepower of the Bills was too much. What's your thoughts on it?
I mean, man, like my thoughts were like the same. Coming into this game, I talked to like a couple of, Colts fans because we are in Indy, so they felt pretty good about this game, and rightfully so. Even though they were on the road, and I mean, you gotta say you gotta give like a kudos first and foremost to Buffalo and winning like a first playoff game probably since I was born or something like that. So it's been a minute before they won a playoff game in Buffalo. Rather, so that was monumental for them, and they were deserving of it. But the Colts play Buffalo like tight, and my philosophy coming into the game, what the Colts had to do was, hand the ball off to the great running back that they have, a very, very good rookie in Jonathan Taylor. Keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hands as much as possible because he is dangerous in both facets. You know what I mean? And it was a very good game, bro. Biggest takeaway though was questionable play calling by the Colts down the stretch. So, and even with that being said, they still had a chance to actually pull that thing off. So, great game, man. It was a very, very good football game.
Indeed, it was. And shout out to our boy Wayne. Good morning, my guy. Good morning,
my bro. What's up with it?
He also said Allen and Diggs are a dangerous duo. They really are. They're in that top tier quarterback wide receiver duo for real this year. And then it's definitely been 25 years.
Man, that's crazy, man. So I mean, shout out to the Bills in that regard. It was definitely something special to see, and like that game was everything that it lived up to be.
It was. It felt like you kind of watched the Bills like when they was playing. It was like they were struggling, but at the same time, it's like you knew that it was like their offense was coming. Like it was you were just waiting for that moment, and they had the big plays at the right time. Josh Allen, once he started to simmer down, that dude is a monster. It's a big monster, and there's hardly anything you can do about it. So,
man, you really gotta give like a huge shout out to Stephon. Dude, Stephon Diggs is special. Like he's doing big things right now with that team. It seems like he has like 10 catches every game. Like I'm not sure. I know he's eating away at those targets. So that's going to depth. His ADP is going to skyrocket, and I mean skyrocket. So it's man. He has been awesome. He has been awesome.
Facts, and yeah, imagine if Robert Woods was still on the Bills right now. That's not fair, but I mean, Cole Beasley for them. I mean, he's probably like one of the best signings they had in recent years. John Brown, underrated receiver, but Diggs was the one piece that unlocked that whole offense. They had a true number one. As I was telling you last year, they only had just slot receivers everywhere.
Yep.
Now, yeah, offense is definitely unlocked. But yeah, man, that was a great game. Looking forward to, I guess, see who plays next week against them. Like we don't even know yet, so
Right.
we'll find out today. Let's see another game here. This here was surprising in a sense. Then again, I wasn't surprised. The Rams defense, like it, dude, it's so dominant, and I know these two teams are division rivals, and each one of the games was actually relatively close during the season. But what got me? It looked like even without Aaron Donald, who didn't play majority of that second half, it's like that front four, they all look like all pro players coming after Russell. And Russell Wilson is one of the people I don't bet against in a sense. But man, that they looked like historically great yesterday in that game against him. DK, I mean, we saw what Jalen Ramsey did to him a couple of times this year. But I expected more out of Seattle. I know in our little group, Mike said that Pete Carroll got out coached, and I can see that. But yeah, what's your thoughts on this game?
Man, it was this game was everything I thought it would be. Like you said, two division rivals, both teams know each other well. But I think you hit the nail right on the head, Jamar. That Los Angeles Ram defense looked stout. It really did. Secondary looked great. Up front, those guys are playing just like juggernauts, and the offense didn't look too shabby at all. And like the emergence of Cam Akers, what a story! He has been phenomenal down the stretch, and then in every game that he has been healthy, he honestly has been like the X factor. With that guy running the way that he has been, milking the clock, which I believe Goff only threw the ball 19 times in that football game. 19 times to Cam Akers, 28 carries. So, I mean, going forward, they may be their recipe for success is to wear down a defense. And again, Seattle's defense was terrible. Like, let's just call it exactly what it is. Seattle didn't look very, very good down the stretch, so they worried me going into the postseason.
But I would say this, like, like in the beginning of the year, Seattle's defense was historically bad. They started to, towards the end of the year, started to turn around. And for what it's worth, the defense actually, kept them in the game for the most part. Because with the injury to Wolford in the beginning, when he got stretched out and actually hit the ambulance and went to the hospital, Goff with that broken finger, he only threw the ball 19 times because of that. And so, conversions and big plays was limited to a sense. So defense kept them in the game. But it's just like the Rams defense was just so dominant. I never seen Russell Wilson look that rattled. And speaking of which, Wayne said, they better draft some offensive linemen.
Man, you know what? He is exactly right. Russell Wilson just stays on the ground. Like, he stays on the ground. He stays getting, brushed outside the pocket, which he is dangerous outside the pocket. But, man, they got to do everything to protect that man and to keep him upright.
Yeah, seriously. And, I mean, Ertz, for what we imagine will be available for either trade or free agent market, whatever they decide to do, I mean, that wouldn't be a bad idea. That actually would make their offense even more lethal, in my opinion. But, I mean, we'll see. But yeah, Rams definitely took care of business. So as of right now, so the Rams would be going to Green Bay as of right now. Unless my Bears win, then that's a whole different story. But that's what we're looking at the moment. And then the last game yesterday, Bucks, Washington football team. Bucks took care of business, but yesterday on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, which I do Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. With my co-host Brandon, I mentioned that this was potentially a trap game for the Bucks And that was before I found out the news about Alex Smith not playing. And so I felt like the football team, they had chances. They really had chances. And that quarterback, Heineke, like, man, like, for what it's worth, I feel like he balled out. He really did. What's your thoughts?
Man, exactly the same. And a lot of people are going to think, like, what if Alex Smith did play in this game? Would there be a different outcome? But again, Washington football team has one of the better defenses inside the league. We knew that they were going to play Tampa Bay pretty tough. But once you get down to everything and like the stats that they allow, Buffalo just had like a great game. All of those wide receivers were on display. Mike Evans went over 100 yards. Both AB and Chris Godwin found the end zone. AB is heating up, and that's very, very scary around this time. He looks great. Tom Brady and his rapport has just been phenomenal over like the past four weeks. So going forward, I think they got the firepower to just about match up well with anyone else inside the NFC. So if the Bucs are on their A game, I believe Tom Brady threw for about 400 yards in that one too. So man, they look darn good. Like you said, that quarterback for Washington. So I'm not even sure how to pronounce his name. Heineke.
I think so.
So man, he looked pretty darn good, bro, for not having like a start under his belt. And he really gave them a shot to win that football game. Even with that, 7-9 record, this was still a great football game to watch.
I kid you not. I know you had to see that play when he dove from the 4-yard line to score that touchdown. I got up and was hyped, like, let's go. I was on the bandwagon. And then Chase Young points to the back of the jersey with his name on it. Like that was a dope moment for them. It really was. Wayne said Washington football team is going to be good. Got to go get another wide receiver. They're all young. Put them on the radar. Yeah, they need some consistent quarterback play, but that team going forward is going to be. I feel like they're going to contend in that division. I know that was the NFC Least was the worst division statistically in history of football, but I don't expect them to be that way next year. But in any event, I expect the football team to definitely be contending for at least the next 3 years in that division for sure.
No, man, I'm with you, Jamar. So it's like if you really want to break that team down. So I'm with Dwayne on this one. If they can get a more consistent quarterback play, again, Alex Smith is coming off of that devastating injury, so it might take him a little bit more time to get acclimated. You know what I mean? But they got a fantastic outside receiver in Scary Terry. They have an up-and-coming Logan Thomas, and that backfield is pretty darn good with both Gibson and McKissick. And that defense, led by Chase Young, those guys, I mean, they have a lot of good building blocks up on that team, and it's going to be a joy to watch them grow over the next few seasons.
Absolutely. So we are definitely looking forward to that. Do you want to preview the next games, or you want to get into some other content?
Let's go ahead and preview the next couple of games, man. Let's just go ahead and get it out the way so I can quit thinking about it just for right now.
All right, fair enough, man. All right, so the first game of the day is going to be Ravens and Titans. Now, these two teams met last year, and just a quick synopsis of that. Derrick Henry had the ball. Ravens players ran away. Derrick Henry scores. Titans win.
Man, and you cannot break it down better than that. That was the play-by-play brought to you by Jamal.
So, I guess a couple of different. It's a little differences here between last year and this year. For one, the main play that ran away, he's no longer part of the Ravens. That's Earl Thomas. And if you follow Earl Thomas over the last 12 months, he's definitely had an interesting life, to say the least.
Yeah, we don't leave it at that.
Yeah, we don't leave it at that. All right, so last year, Lamar Jackson was the MVP, number 1 seed. The year before, he struggled mightily in that playoff game against the Chargers, mightily. And so last year, expectations was through the roof, and Lamar Jackson and the Ravens did not get it done once again. So now, here we are. Baltimore this year has underachieved for the most part, but Hey, ever since that Monday night game where he went to the locker room and did who knows what, Lamar Jackson has been on a tear, and that Ravens team has been on fire. So that Ravens team is one of the hottest teams going into the playoffs right now against a Tennessee Titans team that is very fundamentally sound but can be exposed.
Oh, big time.
A couple weeks ago, we saw what that bad man and Aaron Rodgers and them did to them on primetime football, which was Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams definitely won some people their fantasy leagues that night. But here we are. King Henry once again, the 8th running back in NFL history to eclipse 2,000 yards in the season, and there's some pretty good company there against a quarterback that has to basically get it done or he's going to catch fire, just like Peyton Manning used to for a while. So, all right. What's your thoughts here, man? It's going to be a good game.
Man, you know what? It just seems like every game during like this postseason thus far has been a good one. And I mean, you can say the same thing for Sunday's games. And starting with this one, look, I actually have Ravens upsetting. No, I'm sorry. I have Tennessee upsetting Baltimore in this football game. So even though Baltimore is on the road in this one, I believe they are 3-point favorites as of right now. So look, in order for Tennessee to win this game, what they're going to have to do is give Derrick Henry the ball. Pass the ball to Derrick Henry. Hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. Do whatever they can do to get the ball into Derrick Henry's hands. And trust me, he will do the rest. Now, you and I both know that the whole offense flows through Derrick Henry. As far as, Ryan Tannehill scrambling out, hitting A.J. Brown deep downfield, having Tannehill break down. Like, he can use his wheels, bro. He is known to run 1 or 2 in a game. So, a lot of that offense will flow through. No, the offense will flow through Derrick Henry. I think they will do enough on the ground to control the tempo in this football game, keep Lamar Jackson up on the sideline. We know how electric he can be, J.K. Dobbins and those guys as well. This is going to be a good slugfest, I feel like.
I feel that way too. I'm picking Baltimore here, and it's just once again, it's a close game. I expect it to come down to like 3 points, if that. It's basically gonna come down to the last possession. I like the misdirection of the run that Baltimore has created here, because either it's gonna be on the outside or they get the movement of the linebackers and stuff. Thinking of going outside, leave the middle wide open. Bam, J.K. Dobbins, 20-yard run up the middle. It's whatever it is. Their offense that seemed broken early on is starting to look like it's fixed, and you might see a lot of Mark Andrews in this one. Hollywood Brown has played better in the last couple of weeks. I don't know if Willie Snead playing or not, but he's been solid. Boykin been solid. I don't know, man, but I do know this. It's going to be a great game, and I cannot wait to watch. That's the first game of the day. If I'm not mistaken, is that 12:05 today?
Yes.
Well,
yes, sir.
Central Time. So definitely looking forward to that. And of course, I'm looking forward to this one. All right. So as we know, Bears snuck in thanks to the Rams. Thank you, Rams. Thank you, Aaron Donald, them boys last week for getting us in. We did not get it done. We hung in there 3 quarters. The fourth quarter, the wheels came off. But what can you do? It's the Packers. They're on another level. But in any event, I feel like my team is playing with house money here. I will say this: the spread is disrespectful to me. That is very disrespectful.
10 points.
10 points. Mm-hmm. No. We're covering that spread. We've been playing really good football in the last 5 weeks. And last time I checked, when we played them, I know they didn't have Michael Thomas, but we didn't start Mitchell Trubisky, and we didn't have a running game. We had Nick Foles out there to sit and duck, and we was up 10 points, I believe. And then we imploded and lost the game in overtime. And Drew Brees was a lot better version of Drew Brees then than what he is now.
No, I'm with you on that one.
So not saying that, I'm going to say that we're going to win, but don't be surprised, don't be sleep that this Bears team can't pull off an upset here today. What's your thoughts?
So, I mean, I was gonna ask you about that, but you got right into it like right away. Like, how did you feel about the spread? That was like the largest out of all the games this weekend.
Disrespectful.
I mean, it is. So you gotta, man, like that one was definitely like shocking to me. And I'm with you, man. I think they have a chance to definitely cover the spread. As far as winning this football game, man, they're gonna have to be definitely on their A game to go into New Orleans and leave out victorious. And that all starts with that running game. Ever since that running game has emerged, the Chicago Bears are looking like a different football team. David Montgomery has been fantastic. If I had to give a nod and a fantasy MVP unsung heroes, it'll definitely be David Montgomery. He has been great. And they have a very good wide receiver in Allen Robinson. Get that man the football. Mitchell Trubisky, please do exactly that. I think Mitch is going to have to run a little bit in this game. Bears defense is going to have to stand up big time in this one because the Saints have weapons on weapons on weapons, and they are not afraid to use them. And you know what? This is what I'm going to say, Jamar. I need Khalil Mack. I want to hear Khalil Mack's name in this game. I want to see that fearless look he gives when he's, slamming somebody down to the ground. Like if Khalil Mack shows up in this game, you know what I mean? Akeem Hicks and those boys, they can be a force to be reckoned with. So it's definitely going to start with the running game as well as the defense.
Facts. Like, this is how I'm looking at it. Like, we traded for Khalil Mack 2 seasons ago. This is his 3rd season here. Outside of the first season, like, a lot of Bears fans, has been questioning, like, where have you been? Where have you been? You haven't really lived up to the contract. He's
That's
been
not true.
Huh?
That's not true. I know. Contract, no, yeah.
It's more so the perception of it because you don't hear his name a lot lately, but it's more so him getting double teamed, but he's also creating his impact is creating more plays for everybody else. But like you said, I need to hear his name today. I need him to cause havoc. I need him to be the force that I've seen him, that we've known him to be. Like, I need him to be as disruptive as he was against the Buccaneers earlier this year when Tom Brady was on his butt and when he flipped over that 300-plus lineman with one arm. That's what I need. So yeah. This might be Khalil's biggest game of his career right now because we got 1 year left after this. I mean, a lot of things are in motion with my Bears team, as far as moves and personnel and front office is concerned. So, Khalil, I need you today, man. I'll be having your jersey on. Let's get it done. And then, lastly, the last game, primetime game of the night, division game, the Browns and your Steelers. You take it away here, man.
So, Steeler Nation, stand up. All right. # here we go. So, third meeting between these teams. They split one, so you already know where this is going. It's definitely going to be a titan of a matchup, in my opinion. 2 teams who know each other well, 2 teams with bad blood, as you guys know. But AFC North football is just like that. It's going to be hard fought, and the Browns legit have a chance to steal this game, man. The way how their running game has been and Baker Mayfield not turning the ball over, it's definitely like scary for any defense. But the key, and I mean the key to us winning this football game will be the defense. So if we can create turnovers in this football game, TJ Watt, I believe we get Robert Spillane back, which would be a huge boost to our depleted linebacking core. I need to hear Minka Fitzpatrick name, batting some balls, causing some havoc in that secondary. As far as like the run game for like the Steelers is concerned, I think it's pretty much dead. What we're gonna have to do is run the ball at some sort of decent amount of clip to keep the defense honest. But as far as it being a factor in this football game, I cannot see that.
I see. I'm gonna pull up something here that one of your wide receivers has said.
Oh, Gosh, man. Go ahead.
So, all right. So Juju said, I think they're still the same Browns team I play every year. I think they're nameless gray faces. They have a couple of good players on their team, but at the end of the day, the Browns is the Browns.
Oh boy.
I mean, I'm gonna just take it. He's just confident. I'm gonna just say he's confident. I don't think he's really underestimating his opponent. Maybe he is big time, but nevertheless, no, I feel like this is gonna be a dogfight, man. This is gonna be a battle, battle, battle. But one thing I will say that's at a big disadvantage for the Browns is Kevin Stefanski not being able to be there because of COVID, and I feel like he has, his presence will affect that offense, in my opinion, will affect maybe some even Baker's confidence because the way he calls the games for Baker is like has put Baker's ceiling so high from a football perspective, even from a fantasy perspective. It put his ceiling so high, it put him in great positions to win. So I don't know, man. I don't know. But yeah, this is going to be a dogfight, and if you feel any pressure, I feel you. But I did pick your team to win this game, so.
Oh yeah, I obviously picked us as well, but again, I'm not feeling 100% confident about it. And just to, go ahead and chime in up on the Juju thing. God, at this point, I wish that he would just play football. You know what I mean? Don't give any football team any extra added incentive to go out there and lay you on your butt, like what we saw in the previous football game. So, with that being said, I think if you were to actually watch when he said this, the media kind of twisted his words a little bit. So it off as arrogant as they put in like the headlines. You know how the media is. But at the same time, if he would have just kept his mouth closed and, he wouldn't have created that potential target on his back like he will have going into Sunday night's football game. But that's neither here nor there. With that being said, hashtag Still a Nation, hashtag here we go. We got to get the W tonight.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first from Steelers superfan Deshaun. All right, so we got a couple more segments left, and one of them definitely fantasy related. So, last week we went over fantasy MVPs and gave out roses and gave them the credit they deserve. Now on the flip side here, this is the segment where you get to rant and be ticked off of how you drafted some of these guys to be focal points of your team, bell cows, and yeah, they wasn't that for you. They was more so riding the bench or just not performing up to your expectations by any means. So with all that being said, let's get into it. So quarterbacks. So is there any honorable mention here before we get into our winner of this one?
As far as quarterbacks go, I'm gonna say no. Quarterback was pretty deep this year, and a lot of those guys were a few, not just above or below their ADP. So it really wasn't anyone who wasn't injured that really didn't stick out for me, as far as honorable mentions go. But you and I were both, definitely on the same page when it came to our quarterback fantasy dud. And that quarterback being Carson Wentz, man. God, man, it's so he had a pretty good season last year. The emergence of Miles Sanders, we thought would actually transition into that Philly offense being something that, spiked fear inside of opposing defenses. But man, it was the exact opposite, Jamar. Like guys could not wait to play this Eagles team because they were so dysfunctional. And granted, they had a bunch of injuries. I'm not going to take that away from them. I'm not going to take away, Carson Wentz's toughness and his ability to play through injuries. But let's just call it what it is. Carson Wentz has underperformed. He got benched, rightfully so. He needed to. He did not give this team enough to win a football game in real life. And for fantasy owners, gosh, thank God I did not own this guy. So, he just didn't live up to the bill here.
Not at all. So yeah, let me dig a little deeper here into Carson Wentz here. So, Carson, I feel like ever since Nick Foles, took over that team and won the Super Bowl when he got hurt, locker room, issues. Team haven't really. I feel like a lot of players still haven't like fully bought in. If they didn't buy into him, then they darn sure is not buying into him now. It is a wrap. So, Carson was being drafted in your top 10, probably towards the bottom of the top 10. This man finished 22nd on the year. He only had 4 games of 20 plus points. He lost his starting job. And he lost his starting job, I think, starting week 14, which is basically the beginning of the fantasy playoffs. So not only did he underachieve, he wasn't even there for you when you was going into the playoffs. You had to find another option because most leagues only have one quarterback that you play fantasy in. And I know you mentioned the injuries or whatnot, but I feel like Jalen Hurts came in with the same scenario, same situation, and put up stellar numbers. Jalen Hurts isn't too far from Carson Wentz as far as mobility, and we seen Carson being accurate at times. We see. I guess the biggest difference is, Jalen Hurts actually runs the offense that Doug Peterson puts in front of him, and Carson Wentz has his own agenda and does not get things done, and then wants to blame everybody else for his mistakes. So, yeah, Carson Wentz, like, the locker room doesn't believe in you, your coach doesn't believe in you, the fan base doesn't believe in you, and we don't either.
So it's a done deal, and Jalen Hurts is going to be pretty good for them, I believe, if he can, continue up on like the pace that he started on from this year. Definitely, because he went undrafted in about every league, unless it was like a keeper league or something like that. So definitely he's going to like skyrocket up a couple of boards next year, and it's going to be interesting to see how he progresses in the National Football League.
Yeah. So Jalen Hurts, as far as next year, once the season ends and we get into the off season and stuff, I think he's gonna have a pretty solid ADP because there's a lot of upside there. Running backs. So running backs definitely hit the injury bug this year. Like Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, and some others here. Matter of fact, is there anybody else you want to? I feel like there's 2 players that we can definitely bring up as far as your duds here. You can definitely go first on this one, though.
All right, man. So I'm gonna go with the guy Ezekiel Elliott. My gosh, Jamar, my gosh. So the thing that I do want to mention, first, let me ask you this: did you own Zeke in any of your leagues?
Nope, and thank God.
Exactly. So I own Zeke in 3 leagues, bro. 3 leagues, and I was able to recover from one, but like we already went over, 5 teams for me this year, right?
Yep.
3 playoffs. But the 2 teams that I did not make the playoffs in, guess who I picked in the first round? You want him to take a wild guess? It was Ezekiel Elliott. So again, now I understand the horrible injury to Dak Prescott, and we wish him the best because he was drafted to be a fantastic fantasy quarterback this year. And I think with all that has transpired in Dallas, I think he should be a high pick as well next year. But to talk about Ezekiel Elliott for a minute, a lot of his things out there were just self-inflicted, man. He just fumbled every other game. He did not look the part. And to be frank, Jamar, I think he was outplayed by Tony Pollard, in my opinion. In the games that which Tony Pollard went out there, he gave energy. He definitely was a huge factor in the passing game, even more so than Zeke Elliott. So for him, I think I picked him at number 6 overall, and for his ADP to be anywhere between 3 to 5, I mean, he did not live up to that. And I was definitely unpleased. And a season like that can definitely steer you in the wrong direction from drafting a guy. And I'm going to be completely honest, I'm not touching him next
year. And that's what you call recency bias, ladies and gentlemen. But rightfully so.
Look, you got one shot up on my roster to prove yourself. And look, I'm about winning championships. I did not get it done. I'm not a happy camper. So I'm definitely going back to the drawing board, and he will not be a part of that equation. So.
I feel you. Yeah, we definitely ranted on Zeke a few times this year, and we'll rant on him one more time before we say sayonara to this year. So Zeke, yeah, he was definitely going top three, maybe 4 or 5, depending on, because it's like at that point, it's like, picking hairs as far as running backs there. But he was definitely going in that top tier. Surprisingly enough, he finished ninth on the year. But don't be deceived. Do not be deceived. Because a lot of his productivity came in the first 5 weeks. He eclipsed 20 points a game, 4 of the first 5 games. And if you follow football this year, you do realize that's the same time that Dak Prescott was playing. He was a starting quarterback, and things went downhill when Dak got hurt. And so Zeke, his performance, it it seemed like he caught fumbleitis and he didn't look good from the eye test for a while. It's like what are you doing? Like, did you have like a hangover before you came out there? It looked bad, and it was to the point where I mentioned it looked like he was stealing money from Jerry Jones, and other people had said the same thing. It looks like it.
No, yeah, bro.
And it's not like you had a bad backup quarterback. I mean, you had Andy Dalton there, and which is very serviceable. I mean, he's a starter for a number of years. So I didn't get it, and I understand the off the line look bad, but to your point, when Tony Pollard was out there, I mean, he looked good. Matter of fact, he probably helped somebody win. What was that? A Week 14 matchup when Zeke didn't play. Like, Tony Pollard instantly gave you at least 17 points at halftime. So what's your excuse, Zeke? Like, what is it? And so, yeah, you can, blame it on a number of things, but at the end of the day, I mean, he didn't get it done. He just didn't. He was a disappointment. So that ninth finish, like, you might as well just throw that out the window. I mean, as you stated, you owned him in a couple of leagues, and the 2 leagues you didn't make the playoffs. He was your first pick.
My first pick.
And Zeke, towards the end of the season, he came on. I guess not. I don't want to say he came on, but he started to be productive again in a sense. But by that time, if you owned him, you probably didn't make the playoffs. So it was just empty calories on that one. So at this point, I mean, he looks a little expendable. Maybe the rumors to him to the Jets might be the real thing. I mean, we'll see. But I mean, expectations going forward. I mean, we'll see what happens. But just know 2020. Well, I mean, it was a bad year for a lot of people for a number of things. But him, you might as well throw him on the list for as far as how bad 2020 was. So, and then really quick. When you Joe Mixon owner too?
Man, I was a Joe Mixon owner too, and in our main league, man. So those were my 1 and 2. I think I picked Joe Mixon in the 4th round to be my RB2.
Yeah.
And that didn't look too surprising either. But and another name that I know that we're gonna, just throw out there as far as the honorable mention goes, I actually own Julio Jones in that same league. So if you think that was my 1, 2, 3 pick, you kind of figured like how the season went for me. So yeah, man, it was Joe Mixon. He had a very good year last year, and Joe Burrow, they drafted this guy to be the franchise, and he looked great. He looked great early on before his season-ending injury. And you just thought with the pieces that they had on that team, Joe Mixon would give you a chance to be able to be to be able to compete and for majority of the year. But he was hit with like the injury bug. Giovanni Bernard was serviceable here and there. He was definitely sporadic, hit and miss. But as far as drafting Joe Mixon as high as I did, and a lot of fantasy owners out there have drafted him pretty high, for me, he's a huge disappointment, Jamal.
Fair enough. And it's just with Joe Mixon, it's just been more so injuries as of late instead as far as his actual production on the field, which at times, in the past, that was probably more so the thing. Like, he had great matchups and just didn't get it done. Now it's just the injury thing. But nevertheless, with a healthy Joe Burrow, maybe at some point next year, Joe Mixon's value will definitely skyrocket again. All right. Speaking of, you mentioned Julio Jones, so let's go to wide receivers here. So I know I said running backs hit the injury bug, but wide receivers, gosh.
Yes, man.
Michael Thomas, mentioned Julio, Courtland Sutton, like
OBJ. I mean, so it was just a number of guys who got hit with like the injury bug. But I think like the good thing about wide receivers is like they always seem to bounce back from these injuries. Like it's a little bit different from a running back than it is for a wide receiver. They always seem to do surprisingly well after like an injury. So guys that we mentioned like a Courtland Sutton who could have definitely helped the Broncos stagnant like offense. So I think his ADP should hold all right up over like the next, couple of seasons, as well as Michael Thomas will be Michael Thomas. You know what I mean? Julio Jones. Let's talk about this for a minute, Jamar, because on paper, Julio Jones is one of the most physically gifted wide receivers that this league has ever come to know, right?
Facts.
He has this inability to not be able to find the end zone. I'm not sure if that's a part of the offensive scheme or whatever it is. I am a huge Julio Jones lover, and I have owned him for a number of years. But I think this is where the buck stops for me. I know that there were rumors about Julio being traded and blah, blah, blah. The emergence of Calvin Ridley may have something to do with that. I love Julio. I really do. He has been fantastic. He has been a decade wide receiver. If there was like an all-decade, team of awards that we would give out, Julio would probably headline the wide receivers on that list along with Antonio Brown. But with that being said, Julio Jones, man, my faith is shaking in you, bro. Like it really is. A number of injuries, and he's a tough guy. You and I both know it. He plays through his injuries, but like that doesn't always transition into fantasy points, Jamar. So, and his inability to find the end zone is probably like the biggest hit here. So he's gonna have to join my do not touch list for 2021, man. I'm sorry. I mean, fantastic wide receiver. Fantastic wide receiver. It's just for me, look, I need to get back in this mix. I need to get back to that, Mount Rushmore of fantasy champions out there. So it's I can't do that with Julio and Zeke. So
I get it. And like the Julio not finding the end zone thing, it's nothing new. So it is dumb. I am dumbfounded by it because Calvin really has no problem finding the end zone
whatsoever.
Hayden Hurst has no problem finding the end zone. Even Russell Gage has no problem finding the end zone.
Smaller guys, Jamar, and even compared physically, like Julio is a specimen. Like he's similar to like a DK Metcalf in that regard. Not as big, but the size and speed combo, it is there. I mean, why can't you find this guy inside the red zone? Why does a smaller receiver lead the team in red zone targets? Like it doesn't make sense to me. Again, I'm on the outside looking in. I am a spectator. I am a fan of the game that we call football. So I'm on the outside looking in. But if I was a coach, man, I would probably find more ways to get this guy the ball inside the red zone.
Yeah, fact. Something has to give. I don't know if it's Matt Ryan, the scheme, or Julio not doing. I don't know, something. One of the three. But yeah, I don't blame it. That's why I didn't touch Julio this year, because this is like the third year in a row where his production in the red zone is not there, but everything else is there. This year just happened to be injury bug. But a couple of the wide receivers I want to mention. So this wide receiver actually finished, surprisingly enough, and this was my bold prediction last year, that he would finish in the top 10. Kenny Golladay, he was a top 10 wide receiver at the end of the year last year. And I feel like he only played in a number of games that's probably the amount of fingers on my hand. That's what it felt like. I haven't looked it up. I don't know the official stat, but I just know he's been on the bench like almost the whole year because of injury. And if you drafted him as a wide receiver 2, I feel your pain. If you drafted him as a wide receiver 1, I don't know what to tell you. That's
Yikes.
But yeah, man, he definitely didn't do anybody any favors. I think it's contracted too, so we'll see what happens with that. But the wide receiver I definitely want to highlight is T.Y. Hilton.
Ooh. Take it away, bro. Take it away.
So T.Y. Hilton over a number of years has been very, very, very productive. He was a solid wide receiver too for a number of years. Flirted with wide receiver one numbers like every a few weeks throughout the year. Even at one point, probably won you a fantasy league in the past couple of years because of his production. This year, I mean, the only thing I can say is the Phillip Rivers effect, because Phillip Rivers has the tendency to spread the ball out around a lot of people, and especially dinking it off to running backs. That's what he's known for. But yeah, it's like, so T.Y. Hilton was being drafted as a wide receiver too. His ADP was somewhere between 15 to 25 in that frame. He finished wide receiver 42.
Oh my gosh.
He only had 2 20-point games this year, and that was in weeks 13 and 14. He had 9 single-digit point games. 9. And he was a proud citizen of Dunksville. After like week 8. I didn't draft this man this year. I didn't. Thankfully so. But yeah, if he was like, you drafted him as your wide receiver 2, I feel for you. Flex option, I mean, not as bad, but man, he definitely laid an egg for you. And once again, I think that's the Phillip Rivers effect, not his own ability. Because you started hearing names like Paris Campbell and Michael Pittman, Trey Burton got love.
Wiley Cox, guys like that, man.
Jack
Even
Doyle.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it was kind of difficult to see where T.Y. fit inside the pecking order as far as wide receivers go. So Phillip Rivers was a guy who spread the football around. Now we know that he was on a team with pass catching running backs pretty much his whole career with Austin Eckler, LaDainian, like guys like that. So it's sad to see T.Y. kind of more so like fade away, and just like you said, I think it was like week 10. You know what I mean? And I'm scrambling around to try to find like a replacement, and I scroll down and I see T.Y. Hilton. I'm like, huh? You know what I mean? So I click on T.Y. Hilton and I go through his stats. I'm like, oh, okay. So this is why this guy is, just like floating here. You know what I mean? And I think going forward, it's going to be one of those, if you draft him as a wide receiver 3 flex option, great. You know what I mean? Great. But for him to be the wide receiver 2 that we all come to know, man, like I'm quite sure that your team took a hit in that regard. So definitely keep your eyes open where to draft this guy next year. And again, this is going to be another one of the players who makes Deshaun's do not draft list. So,
hey, I feel like that list is growing and growing.
Excuse me, it really is, bro. It really is. So
I don't blame you. And then lastly, tight end. So as we stated a number of times this year, specifically this year, outside of Travis Kelce and Waller the Baller, every other tight end is TD dependent, touchdown dependent, meaning if you score a touchdown, you are relevant. You need that touchdown. Otherwise, the targets and the catches and the yards alone is not there for them to be productive and give you a productive outlook for your team to be successful. That's what it is. And it's crazy because going into the season, there was a lot of tight ends that was like on the list. They're like, okay, like you don't seem to be TD dependent. You can be productive. You can be productive. You giving out things like Oprah, but you actually just gave out empty boxes because there was nothing in those boxes except for 2 guys. So, you go down the list, Mark Andrews wasn't as, Mark Andrews as last year. Austin Hooper wasn't hooping like last year. It's Jared Cook wasn't cooking. So
Nah, I'm with you, bro. You and I both said up on like a number of times that tight end was very, very thin this year. And if you had a very good tight end, you know what I mean, it was either one of 3 guys, in my opinion. It was either T.J. Hockenson. It was either Travis Kelce or Darren Waller. And Mark Andrews just got thrown into like that top 5 mix by default, just because of how thin the tight end position was. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and get into it, bro, because I'm just going ahead and throw out an honorable mention. A guy that I owned. And you know what's the league I owned him in? In that same league in which I had Ezekiel Elliott. Same league in which I had Ezekiel Elliott, Joe Mixon, and Julio Jones. And that tight end. So this is Deshaun's all bust list. So, you know what I mean? Just come on and take a trip on the bus, Evan Ingram. Because you were supposed to be what Darren Waller is right now. You have the size, you have the speed, you have the vertical to be able to challenge those DBs, and you're basically a hybrid wide receiver. You know what I mean? And you did not get the job done. I get it. He took a hit as far as quarterbacks go. Daniel Jones was injured. Saquon Barkley not being able to play has, kind of altered that offense a little bit. But let's just call it what it is, man. You underperformed. His ADP was anywhere between, Jamar, 5 to 7. He was being drafted 5 to 7 as far as tight ends go. You know where did he finish? Tight end 18. Tight end 18, Jamar. So, man, I saw the upside in this guy. I saw the potential. I saw the rise of Daniel Jones. I knew that Saquon was going to be there to be able to keep the defense honest. It was just like bad selling for this guy. It was, man, that draft, I wish I could do it all over again right now, but hop on up on the bus, everything.
And yeah, I feel you on that. And morning, Brandon. Yeah, Hooper wasn't hooping. Cook wasn't cooking.
Cooking, man.
I mean, and look, and for you to say that Evan Ingram, who was drafted 5 to 7 and finished 18 as an honorable mention, that means that the person that we about to bring up by far, like, probably had the biggest dip of them all. Probably the worst value pick of the whole fantasy football season. And it just happened to be a tight end. And that's Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz, man. Oh.
Zach Ertz. Yeah, we're screaming at tight ends. Yeah, they're duds. We're going at them. You missed the other segments with the quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. We had a field day on that one.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, Zach Ertz. And it's funny to mention this because we mentioned our boy. Well, no, not our boy, but his boy, Carson Wentz.
Right.
Carson Wentz was the donkey of the day on that one, or the donkey of the season rather. And then his running mate that we know that those two used to throw up numbers together. Like anytime, like before the season's like, all right, who the Eagles got? Who they playing? Okay, Zach Ertz is guaranteed a touchdown, maybe 2. No, this year, no. So I know he missed a number of games, but he was drafted in the top 5. He was probably ADP 4. This man finished 31st. You said 5 to 7 with Ingram and finished 18. This man was drafted 4th and finished 31st. So just think about that. So if tight end had different positions, he's not a tight end 1. He's not a tight end 2. He's not even a flex play. If this was different, if tight ends was that, like we was running a roster like that, it's not even that. Mike Gesicki had a better season than him. Robert Tonyan, who just popped on the scene on week 4 when Devontae Adams went out, he came out of nowhere and had a better season. Matter of fact, I think he finished top 10, maybe 6 or something like that. I want to say Jimmy Graham had a better season than him. I could be way off, way on left field, out of bounds on here. Maybe Cole Kmet maybe had a better season than him.
That would be close, and that would be a mind blowing stat considering how Cole Kmet wasn't even like a huge part of like that offense at one point. So Carson Wentz, Zach Ertz, I'm sorry. You deserve everything that you're getting right now. And I get it. The emergence of Dallas Goedert has hurt your value tremendously because Dallas Goedert is fantastic. He can be you, basically, probably with less catches. But the reason why this hurts so much for me, Jamar, is that Ertz was a guy that was automatic, just like you said. Over the past few seasons, he even set the single season receiving yards for tight ends back, a couple years ago. And that hurts when you draft a guy that high and had such high expectations and he just let you down. I had him in a couple of leagues as well. And, rightfully so, I drafted him to be that guy. And again, I know Ertz and Wentz, they take vacations together with their girlfriends and stuff like that to build rapport off the grid. And I don't know. Both of these guys, maybe they should have stayed on vacation, Jamar, with the way that the season has been going for both Wentz and Ertz, man. So,
man, they took their games off the grid too.
Yeah, big time. So, again, my bus is filling up, Jamar. It's filling up rather quickly, but we got more space for Zach Ertz on that bus.
Man, matter of fact, put him in the front seat. And I'm about to read all some names that had a better season than him. So, okay, so I was definitely reaching on Cole Kmet. I was reaching a little bit. But, matter of fact, no, everybody's about to see this one. Hold on.
I know Dalton Schultz finished higher than him. I believe Jared Cook finished higher than him. I know some other names out there that finished higher than him that were guys who just came off
the street, man. So let's see. Irv Smith Jr. did.
Oh my God, Irv Smith Jr. Jesus Christ.
So as you know, Jonnu Smith is the main tight end in Tennessee, right? Anthony First, I don't know. This dude, a backup tight end from the Titans. Trey Burton, who was like the third string tight end in Indy. Who is Drew Sample? Tight end for the Bengals. He finished higher. Dan Arnold. Tyler Eifert, the name that we have not mentioned and that has not had any fantasy relevance in like 5 years. He finished higher. This is getting ridiculous, man. Chris Herndon. Oh, he finished just below. I'm sorry, but yeah, just the names like Drew Sample, Anthony Firster.
Tyler it's just that dude. If you're in the mix with those guys, man, that's some bad company. That is some bad company, man. So
that is, man. I'm Jordan Akins, bro. Yeah, that's where we're at. It's bad. It's bad. So yeah, I think Carson Wentz, like you said, and Zach Ertz, they take vacation together with their girlfriends, go off the grid together, take their game off the grid together. Going to take both of them off the Eagles together next year. None of them are returning to the Eagles. I'm throwing it out there. We know Carson Wentz is probably going to get traded. Zach Ertz might get released. They got somebody for cheaper for both those guys. Yeah, they going fishing permanently from the Eagles. So.
Yeah. So both of those guys, take a board up on Deshaun's bus. So yeah.
All right. So that's enough. Who it does? Did you get all your ranting out for the year?
I did, man. I hit Zeke hard. I hit Ertz hard. I hit Julio hard. I hit basically all the guys that I drafted in our main league. so yeah. Never again. Never again.
So what we're gonna do is light a match and just burn that team. And we'll just start with a new strategy next year. So all right, so that's our ranting for today. So we got one more topic here for you. Real fun one. So the Pro Football Hall of Fame finalist list came out recently, and a lot of these names we grew up on. Like we're seeing names that we grew up on as kids. Normally in the past, we probably seen them, at the end of their careers when we started to become conscious. Now it's like, hey man, I grew up watching you the whole time. Megatron, Torrey Holt, part of the greatest show on turf, Reggie Wayne, John Lynch, and Rondé Barber when they was with the Buccaneers in that ferocious defense in 2001. Jared Allen, like that's one of the most underrated careers that you ever seen, and he deserves to be on this list. Richard Seymour, Clay Matthews. I'm so glad he's not playing in Green Bay anymore. Sam Mills, Zach Thomas, underrated career. Your boy Alan Faneca, Tony Baselli, like bro. A lot of these names are fantasy superstars, especially the offensive players. But so the Hall of Fame takes 4 to 8 every year. Just out of your curiosity, man, who's getting the nod in your opinion?
Man, so I think you can go ahead and look at the first 4 names up there. If I were one of the, people that was on the board and who gets to make that decision. Look, Peyton Manning is getting in. One of the greatest probably the greatest football mind that we have ever seen. He can easily be like a head coach. I'm gonna say this: Peyton Manning is the greatest signal caller of all time. Again, I did not say the best quarterback of all time, but the best signal caller best play caller of all time. So he's definitely going to get in. Calvin Johnson, man, the things that he has done in his short career was just remarkable. And you mentioned earlier, before we really got into this, that Calvin Johnson scored 50 points one time in a fantasy football game and actually won you that week single-handedly. So we know what he can do, and everyone else has been looking for So Calvin Johnson basically changed the game, Jamar. Everybody else has been trying to find a Calvin Johnson-like type player. You know what I mean? Torrey Holt, part of one of the greatest offenses that has ever graced the gridiron. You know what I mean? Reggie Wayne, part of, Peyton Manning's elite wide receiver core with, Marvin Harrison and those guys. So those are the names that really stick out to me the most. And I'm quite sure that's why they put them at the very, very top as like the headliner. So if I would probably give all of those guys a nod, man. So if we want to like skip down to like a couple more, I'm just going to pick out 4 other names in this. It is some good ones. John Lynch, guy laid the lumber for a crazy amount of years, man. Rondé Barber was a great DB. Charles Woodson is going to be another name that I'm just going to go ahead and give the nod for the things that he has done on the football field. He has been one of the best DBs the game has ever seen. Jared Allen, the most underrated name on this list, I feel like. People do not give this guy enough credit. I'm going to go ahead and give it to him. He was a pass rush nightmare. You know what I mean? He had the crazy wrangle, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Little after sack special there. And I just remember watching that over a crazy amount of years. And he even got it done late into his career. So, hats off to Jared Allen. Man, Richard Seymour, Clay Matt. Oh my gosh, bro. Zach Thomas, great. Dude, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough one upon the committee, but Alan Faneca, near and dear to my heart. Pittsburgh Steelers, great offensive lineman. Like you mentioned, he was an all-pro. He made Pro Bowls. He was just the guy, and he even led the bus himself. You know what I mean? So Alan Faneca definitely should receive a couple of votes. I'm not sure if he's going to get in on first ballot, but that's a guy who I can see that is going to come pretty damn close. And it would just do my heart justice if, Pittsburgh Steelers would be able to go ahead and make it into, being into Canton to be enshrined. So, man, this list is phenomenal, Jamar. Phenomenal.
It is so Peyton Manning, I never forget you beating my Bears in the Super Bowl. But bro, the greatest signal caller. I give you that. I don't know if you because we used to play Madden heavy, and I think you still play every now and then. I remember in this heyday, in his prime, in one of the Madden games, if he was going against him, he was a computer, so he'll get to the line and just start changing things up. on the game, the computer version of Peyton Manning, just like in real life, it was nuts. Like if you could do that if you could do that in a video game that emulates somebody on the field, like that's nuts. I'm just throwing that little nugget out there. Calvin Johnson, like man, yeah, he dropped 50 for me against Freddie. Sorry, Freddie, but boy, I'll never forget that day. I screenshot it, put it on Facebook and everything else. I was stoked, man. Like it's funny how Detroit get these once in a lifetime type players and can't do anything with them. It's crazy. First Barry Sanders, now Megatron. Like, how do you have these once in a generation, once in a lifetime type players can't do anything with them?
That front office is trash, bro.
Like maybe like a total of 3 playoff appearances with all of them combined and 0 wins. So Torrey Holt, yeah, part of the greatest show on turf. When I first started getting into football and I saw that was a sight to see. Yeah, Reggie Wayne, part of that monster offense. I think 2004 was their best statistical season with that Peyton Manning led team. Yeah, Leroy Butler was underrated, but it was solid. Lynch, solid. Barber. Now, Charles, I have a nickname for Charles. I'm not going to say it on here, but you know. But,
Yeah.
man, like Charles Woodson, that, like, one of the few players to ever win a Heisman on the defense. And then, you know, his impact in Oakland, like, he monster. Gets to Green Bay, wins a title he went from corner to free safety to win a title there. Like, Charles Woodson was a monster. Like, if you've never seen Charles Woodson, seen any highlights, I highly advise you to do some Googling there on YouTube, like for real. Yeah, Jared Allen, man, like he was a terror. He was on what Minnesota, Kansas City. I think he was on my Bears too for a second. So great guy. I'm not gonna say anything about Clay Matthews. Keep it moving.
Hey, he was a terror for a crazy amount of years, bro.
He was. And I'll leave it at that. Zach Thomas, man, underrated. Flew under the radar because he played with the Dolphins, but man, he was something ferocious. Yeah, you already discussed your boy.
Yeah, I think Zach Thomas was the only guy on here to win Dancing with the Stars as well. So,
hey, so he got some rhythm there too. There you go. But yeah, man. If I was to pick 4 out of 8, I would say Manning, Megatron. Make it this time. Manning, Megatron, Wayne. I guess I give the nod to Holt. It's wide receivers are hard to get in the first ballot. That's my only knock. Charles Woodson for sure. That's 5. I'm gonna try to go 8 here because a lot of them deserve it even more than that. Jared Allen 6. Alan Finneker 7. I think I'm gonna give the last one to John Lynch. 8.
okay.
That's tough, but man, that's a phenomenal list there.
Yeah, man, it's really, really tough. And like when you start even getting to like 5, 6, 7, and 8, like those guys can still be interchangeable. That's when you know that you have like a very, very good list. Again, man, I would love to be a part of this committee and make that decision. But again, that'll be one of the toughest decisions to make. Great list right here, guys who actually made huge impacts for their respective teams, and some players even multiple teams, like Peyton Manning winning the championship with 2 teams. So it's a very, very good list, Jamal.
Indeed, it is. So right, so yeah, man. So I mean, here we are. Still in the middle of Super Wildcard weekend. 3 games today. Both our teams playing in separate games. Yeah, I see the nervousness on your face. I get it. My team's playing with house money, but I'm still naturally nervous. But yeah, man. I guess that's about it for this week. You got anything else?
No, man, I don't. You know, look, good luck to your Bears today. It's always good to see a team with 10-point underdogs, man. That is oh wow, like that is like crazy. I was at least thinking anywhere between 3 to 7. But you know, good luck to your Bears today. Go Steelers. That goes without being said. Like all the games thus far have been great, bro. Like they have been very, very entertaining, and I think Sunday will be it'll be no difference there. So
Yeah, and definitely, good luck to your Steelers as well. But yeah, we'll be back next week. We got division games going on. Got some more treats for you. We're here. If you don't know by now, we are live right now on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So with all those, definitely, subscribe, follow, and hit the notification bell. All three of them have notification bells. Please hit that so you know when we're live. Also, as far as the podcast, hey, we're Apple, Spotify, Google, Pandora, soon to be Audible, and a bunch of other platforms that we are there. Hey, if there's any merchandise, look, I know I got the website here, but it's gonna be under construction for a little bit. We definitely gonna bring some new hot fresh content for you in the next couple of months here, so stay tuned. But if you want a shirt like this one here, or that hoodie back there behind me, definitely hit us up. We can still get it done for you. So yeah, with all that being said, man, good luck. Enjoy the rest of your day. We will be back next week. Until then, deuces.
peace.